Hello, my name is Emanuela Pozan, and I'm a senior specialist on gender equality and non-discrimination in the Gender, Equality and Diversity and ILO AIDS branch of the International Labour Organization.
Hi, I am Maria Victoria Cabrera, and I am a legal officer for the Indigenous Peoples team at the same branch.
Hello, my name is Jürgen Menze, and I'm a disability inclusion officer, also in the same branch.
Our branch is responsible for promoting gender equality, inclusion and respect for diversity in the world of work.
The branch strives for the elimination of discrimination, including based on gender, race, ethnicity, belongingness to an indigenous or tribal group, disability, and HIV status. It provides advice, guidance, and technical assistance to ILO constituents with respect to promoting workplaces that are more inclusive and addressing multiple grounds of discrimination.
The promotion of equality, inclusion, and non-discrimination is central to achieving the goals of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, which aims to leave no one behind. The application of these principles must be supported everywhere, particularly in situations of fragility, conflict, and disaster.
Many women around the world have restricted access to economic assets. In crisis context, this means that they are less able to control the resources relevant to tackling crisis and become particularly vulnerable. Indeed, women generally suffer the worst consequences in conflict and disaster situations, becoming victims of violence and seeing their rights and opportunities reduced. At times, however, crisis can create the conditions to address some of this gender-based discrimination and rights violations, and women can use these opportunities to take up new roles and become driving forces for post-conflict and post-disaster recovery. It is important that interventions aimed at alleviating the impact of crisis capture these transformations and build on them, as recognized in the international instruments such as the United Nations Security Council Resolution 1325 on Women, Peace and Security, the ILO Recommendation 205 on Employment and Decent Work for Peace and Resilience, and the ILO Violence and Harassment Convention number 190. Learn more about this topic in the module on gender equality in context of fragility, conflicts, and disaster.
In most countries, the majority of indigenous and tribal peoples live in rural and remote areas. They are generally characterized by political, economic, and social marginalization and excluded from decision-making processes. In crisis contexts, their physical integrity as well as their traditional livelihoods and cultures are often threatened. Inequality and discrimination in access to essential services, as well as in the exercise of human rights, make indigenous and tribal peoples particularly vulnerable. To guarantee the respect of their rights, the ILO Convention 169 stipulates that indigenous and tribal peoples shall participate in issues affecting their development, which include the planning and preparation for crisis response and the achievement of sustainable peace. I invite you to learn more on this topic in the module on indigenous and tribal peoples in crisis situations.
Persons with disabilities, including those with already existing disabilities and newly acquired disabilities due to conflict or disaster, are often overlooked in crisis situations. However, they may require dedicated support for accessing emergency relief and medical care, as well as for re-establishing their livelihoods. Data on the situation of persons with disability is rare. Consequently, people with disabilities are commonly made statistically invisible and at risk of being left behind. It is crucial to take into account their disability-specific needs and to involve people with disabilities in decision-making and transition processes, including those related to employment opportunities. This approach is promoted and recognized by key international frameworks such as the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, the Charter on Inclusion of Persons with Disabilities in Humanitarian Action, the Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction, and ILO's Recommendation 205. You can find out more about this topic in the module on the inclusion of persons with disabilities in employment and decent work for peace and resilience.